Welcome back to the F1 2018 career mode here, guys, and you join me for round number 19, the Mexican Grand Prix, a track that more suits myself and our car. We've got a double upgrade, double downforce upgrade that moves Mercedes up closer to the front of the pack. Unfortunately, Renault have moved closer. Force India with no upgrades, Red Bull with a minor upgrade, Ferrari with a minor upgrade. To those three, still very close and tight up the front. Renault trying to join the party, and we, Mercedes, still are just in the middle, in a race of our own, really. So pretty much it's just going to be stock up on the resource points and see what I can do for next season. I'm still looking at that major powertrain upgrade because I think that's going to be huge for us. That's definitely what we're going to be looking at next, because that will carry us, like it did at Force India, with the actual Mercedes team. So we'll worry about that next year. Let's get into quali.
Back to the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez circuit, where qualifying will begin shortly.
Qualifying has indeed begun shortly. Our first run, or sorry, this is our third run, so our quickest lap so far has currently got us P8, and I know we can do slightly better than that. We are on, of course, the Hypersoft tyre, and we are going maximum commitment. This track is all about speed and all about carrying appropriate momentum, especially through the middle sector. So you can see we're oh so slightly up on our best lap so far, only about a tenth up, and now we're coming through the middle sector, the double right-hander, going quite wide on the exit. That has cost us a bit of time, but through the middle sector we gained a bit. It's actually the fastest middle sector of quali so far. We're actually 800s up on provisional pole, but my traction compared to the AI in the baseball stadium is not that great. I've lost a bit of time compared to my Delta and obviously compared to the AI, but we're 2.5 tenths up, over 3 tenths up now. 4 tenths up as we cross the line and we provisionally go P3. Let's get into the race.
Formula One may have been absent from Mexico for 23 years, but after 2015's triumphant return, it was as if we'd never been away. In Mexico, a Grand Prix is more than just a race. It's a celebration of speed and of bravery. There's nothing quite like the atmosphere in the stadium today. They'll be drowning out the cars with their noise as they make their way through on lap 1. At 2,285 metres above sea level, the thin air of the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez poses a unique challenge, not just to a driver's skill, but to the efficiency of their engines as well. 17 corners make up a lap of this 2.6-mile circuit, and you can expect incredible speeds in excess of 220 miles per hour, and overtaking too into the hard braking zones of turns 1 and turn 4. Also here, of course, is Anthony Davidson. Let's talk briefly about Sergio Perez. That was a great win in the last race. Can they keep that momentum going this weekend?
It's always nice to come into a Grand Prix weekend on a high, but your expectations are based much more on your practice and qualifying runs. So it's the momentum from those sessions that they'll be hoping to carry into the race today.
We're almost ready to go then, and this is what the starting grid looks like for today's race. Sebastian Vettel has a clear track ahead of him today. He starts in pole position, and it's Esteban Ocon in P2. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Perez, Ricciardo, Kimi Raikkonen, and Verstappen. The captain, Bottas, Hülkenberg, and Carlos Sainz. Gasly, Leclerc, Romain Grosjean, and Van Dorn. Magnussen. They'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Stroll, Marcus Ericsson, and Fernando Alonso. Sirotkin and Brendan Hartley rounds off the grid. Now it's almost time to lights out, so let's go down to the track.
So there we have it, the lineup for the Mexican Grand Prix. We are starting, of course, on the Hypersoft tyre, and we're going to need to drag that out. And drag it honestly further than I would like to. However, of course, we have to go and be able to swap to a couple of sets of ultra softs for the remainder of the Grand Prix. Low downforce setup, of course, because it is Mexico. You need to maximise your speed on that big straight for the main overtaking opportunity of turn 1. But you need a nice balanced car to be able to go through that middle sector as committed as possible, and then you can maybe line up a pass into the baseball stadium. That's why my setup's a little bit more balanced. I didn't really go sort of like front or rear heavy with any kind of suspension or any kind of, tyre settings, essentially. Normally I'm trying to either make the rear more balanced or the front more pointy, but this time around I've sort of just gone with a very plain, bland setup, in all honesty. Who knows if it will work as we build with the lights at the Mexican Grand Prix. 5 lights are on, and 5 lights are out. Not a very long hold whatsoever, and we are away. And unfortunately, our slow start might be the most costly of the entire season. We've already lost out to Bottas and Hulkenberg. Sainz is on our right. More cars moving on our left. We need to move to the left-hand side, ideally, to get round Hulkenberg. Everyone's squeezing up into turn 1. We nearly clout the back of Raikkonen. We found ourselves on the inside of the Ferrari. He then pulls to the inside. We've got the better run, but Raikkonen's car was situated for a better exit. We now charge down towards the second chicane. We move to the inside of Raikkonen. Initially earlier on the brakes, then released later on, and we have snuck past Kimi Raikkonen. We are now up into P5. Sergio Perez, the hometown favourite, leads the Mexican Grand Prix from Esteban Ocon. Force India 1-2. Vettel third, Ricciardo fourth. We are up to 5th position, and Perez setting the pace early on. And there was a yellow flag initially in turn 1. Not too sure what that was about, who's lost the place, but now we're in rich and overtake on the RS, and Raikkonen is trying to pull alongside, but I don't think he's quite got the top end speed for it. He tries to have a look down the inside of turn 1. We give him the room, but unfortunately he's not able to make a move. Still, we are very aggressive over the curves. Unfortunately, we didn't get the best exit. Raikkonen's going to try and have a look into turn 4. He's already pulled a car length ahead of us, but we just dive it down the inside, go nice and wide so he can't cut back underneath us, force him to try and take the outside line. Nice and defensive driving, excellent defensive work against Raikkonen. And now we move into the next lap, where this will be the first lap where DRS is enabled. He hasn't got it right now, but he could potentially have it on the next straight as we once again go wide to allow Raikkonen the room. And he's kept himself very close. I've actually had to go off circuit there to try and defend from Kimi. And one of the Renaults has actually caught him, and I don't know what hampered Raikkonen's run through that first chicane there, but he has not been able to stick with me. By the end of lap 6, you can see the front three. You've of course got Perez, Ocon and Vettel going away. Then Daniel Ricciardo dropping back a little bit, and then we have fallen away from Ricciardo. Raikkonen, though, is going to be having a run at us with DRS probably this time around. Look at the speed that Ferrari's got as he rockets past us. We're in rich and high. We're not giving everything in a straight line, but we can get nice and dangerous on the brakes. Raikkonen's cut underneath us. We cut back underneath him, and that is us successfully defending P5. That's one of the things I love about this track. You can actually just get some good moves made and make some good defensive driving. That front three really closing up, as you can see on the mini-map there. We've gone deep into turn 4. Raikkonen tries to go around the outside of 5. Can't quite get the move done, though. And Bottas is falling back from the Renault and is holding up, by the looks of things, the other Renault and a Toro Rosso. So by the end of lap 8 now, we're on acceleration, and Raikkonen closer than ever. One of the Renaults has dived into the pits, the one behind Raikkonen, who's already passed us before the F1 2018 banner. We squeeze Raikkonen over to the right, sit in his slipstream, get as much speed as possible going up towards turn 1. Can we be bold on the brakes? We squeeze him towards the apex. We've gone horrendously wide. That's compromised our run through turns 2 and through turns 3. And Raikkonen with a much better exit once again. Going down towards turn 4. He's always going to try and have a go. He pulls to the outside. We defend the middle of the road. And we successfully make it so Raikkonen can't cut back underneath us once again. He hasn't been able to get creative enough at trying to get past us. And then by the end of the stint, we pull into the pits. Raikkonen going on for one more lap. He's going to try and make the overcut work and pit at the end of lap 10. But we've come in at the end of lap 9 for our first of 2 pit stops in this Grand Prix and for our first set of ultra soft tyres. And I feel more comfortable on these because the hypers go off incredibly quickly. You know, running those at the start of a Grand Prix with a car fat with fuel is just going to wear them out. So we're now going to come out, and there's a couple of McLarens as well as a Renault of Hulkenberg. So he's the one that initially pit before us. So he's got ahead of me on that undercut, but that's absolutely fine. He's gone to the ultra softs earlier, and he's being held up in this traffic ahead. You can already see as we're coming through, there's a Williams in here, there's Alonso battling Stroll, Van Dorn's just up the road. You see Hulkenberg getting held up behind these two. I'm going to sneak my Mercedes down the inside of Hulkenberg, who squeezes me. Now I go round the outside. I have to take avoiding action against Stroll. Now I'm in the slipstream of Alonso up to the right-hander into the baseball stadium. We take a big load of curb, push Alonso out wide, and that is a triple overtake made in just a couple of corners, up into 13th place, back ahead of Nico Hulkenberg. And I do wonder, because Raikkonen's going to be in this lap, as well as Valtteri Bottas, where is Raikkonen going to feed out in relation to myself and Nico Hulkenberg? Raikkonen out of the pits. Can he get up to speed in time? We're charging towards turn 1. Raikkonen out. just behind us. 200 miles an hour to overtake Kimi, and we've just stayed ahead of him. And thankfully, Hulkenberg still behind, but we're now catching up to more traffic. We've got Van Dorn, a Sauber of Marcus Ericsson, and one of the Toro Rosso. And just look at the extra speed that we can carry. Unfortunately, due to the dirty air, we understeer off the circuit, but then we're up the inside of Stoffel Van Dorn into the baseball stadium right-hander. It's Brendan Hartley heading up this train, and we have now put a car between ourselves and Kimi Räikkönen. And I'm hoping in this stint, because I feel more comfortable on this ultra soft tyre, as I've said before, to be able to pull away from the Finn and solidify our 5th place in this Grand Prix. So now we're going to try and use rich and high and a bit of DRS to catch up to Marcus Ericsson. But he too is going to be getting that off the Toro Rosso of Brendan Hartley. So Raikkonen's now already past Van Dorn, so we need to put more cars between myself and Raikkonen as we slam on the brakes from 221 miles an hour. Had to take avoiding action and dive down the inside. We had to make a bit of contact, unfortunately, with Brendan Hartley. That did allow Ericsson through. But look at the gap we've built to Raikkonen as Ericsson finally comes in. We set the fastest lap of the race, actually, on a 1:15.9, and Ericsson's still ahead of Brendan Hartley. And then we've got Kevin Magnussen, who's running the ultra soft tyre at this point. He's going to be going for the one stop for ultras through to supers. So the Haas cars could potentially be in it. You know, we've both got one stop left to make in this Grand Prix. Magnussen might not be in contention with us, but Grosjean is a few seconds up the road, and Grosjean's not looking too bad this weekend. Interesting point to note, we'll probably see it in a minute when we get called up to him, but Daniel Ricciardo actually fitted the Hypersoft at his first pit stop, so I don't know if he's potentially looking at double hypers onto supers. You see Raikkonen nearly 4 seconds behind us, but we're now gaining on Magnussen with the use of DRS. We turn the engine and the ERS deployment back down, and it's going to be a very clean, easy overtake into turn 1. Just of course going wide to make sure he can't try and cut back underneath us. And you can see Grosjean there. Once again, same strategy as his teammate. They're running ultras. They'll probably be coming in the end of lap 16, 17 for a set of super soft tyres. And then running to the end of the Grand Prix. So you see Grosjean up ahead of me there. And we're going to hopefully pull off the same moves. Pierre Gasly appears to be making the same stop. So Gasly, once again, flying the flag for Toro Rosso at the Mexican Grand Prix. But you can just see the speed. We can't get as close to Grosjean as we did with Magnussen last time around. In fact, we've gone very deep on the brakes. We can thankfully get the car rotated, and we will get a second helping of DRS down this straight. But no, unfortunately, we once again could not catch Grosjean, but his ultra soft much more worn compared to our own, and we've just followed him successfully through the middle sector. A bit of understeer. We're going to have to get brave on the brakes. Can we pass him into our favourite overtaking place into the baseball stadium? No, we can't. So we're going to have to follow Grosjean.
Okay, some information on Perez. They have some kind of mechanical problem.
Just getting an update on the radio there as Grosjean pulls in. So Perez, race leader, hometown boy Sergio Perez, has car trouble. Raikkonen has dropped a long way back, and you can see what I was mentioning before. Daniel Ricciardo on Hypersoft tyres in this stint. So Red Bull clearly thinking their tyre wear is enough for them to run double Hypersofts, which, you know, I'd love to be able to get to that point with this car. But then again, I naturally wear my tyres more than the AI. So end of lap 20. We've got a big enough gap to Raikkonen, who's currently fending off one of the Renaults, and we've got 6.5 seconds to Ricciardo ahead. So similar to the development graph, we're sort of in a race of our own at the moment there. We've got pretty much the same gap to Ricciardo ahead of us as what we've got to Raikkonen behind us. You can see, of course, the Force India that's dropped to third. That will be Sergio Perez with his mechanical issues, and you can see Daniel Ricciardo into the pits at the end of lap 21. Sainz has passed Kimi Räikkönen, so Ricciardo onto the ultras, and here we go into the end of the race. So he's made those ultras in the middle stint last an incredibly long time. So kudos to Ricciardo for his tyre saving while keeping up the speed there. But we're coming in at the end of lap 22 to fit our second set of ultra soft tyres, and that will take us comfortably to the end of the Grand Prix. Just being very careful on the pit entry. It can take you by surprise, this one, with how close the line is. But Perez in the pits just ahead of us. Good stop by the Mercedes boys at 2.3. I wonder if Perez still has his car trouble, and if we're able to close down on him. Gasly goes past on his super soft tyres, so he, of course, of the one stoppers, is going to be an interesting 1-2 fight. And here comes Valtteri Bottas, and it goes to show the difference between me and Bottas. As Grosjean, here, this is an interesting one for us. Can we come out ahead of Romain Grosjean? Remember, at the end of lap 17, he peeled into the pits for those super softs, and we've remained ahead of him, showing that we had enough pace on our worn tyres to stay ahead of Grosjean. So thankfully we don't have to pass him or Magnussen on track. And look at this, like lap 23, we have normally sometimes, especially with Perez, we were fighting him quite tooth and nail, or he had the upper hand over us. But we are an entire pit stop ahead of our teammate Valtteri Bottas. It's the same lap that I've come out the pits. Bottas is yet to make his second stop. We've set the fastest middle sector of the Grand Prix so far on our fresh tyres. Perez, like I say, just up the road, and then of course there is Pierre Gasly. Raikkonen appears to be in for his stops as per the mini-map. Wonder if Bottas is coming in this lap, as I've had to take a really wide line, and indeed Bottas does pit for the final time this afternoon. And we re-overtake Raikkonen to reclaim 6th place, just behind Sergio Perez, about 4 seconds down the road. He is of course closing in on Pierre Gasly, which I'm hoping, and who I am hoping to overtake before this race is over. Daniel Ricciardo then sets the fastest lap on a 15.7, beating my personal best of a 15.9. What are we going to be able to do? Can we get anywhere close to that as we cross the line? The answer is it's a personal best at a 15.8. Not quite Ricciardo pace though, unfortunately. If we had a good slingshot down the main straight with a bit of rich mix and DRS, I'm sure we could set a fastest lap of the Grand Prix. But Perez closing in on Gasly, and I'm sure he's going to be overtaking him sooner rather than later. So whatever issues he had are resolved. And Max Verstappen now setting the fastest lap on a 15.5. The Red Bulls have come to party and looking very strong, as they did in the real life Grand Prix for the past couple of years. You know, Verstappen, even though it's a power track, Verstappen making the most of it. Perez has got past Gasly. We move on to lap 26, so 10 laps to go after this one, and Gasly should hopefully, those super softs just not allowing him the grip he needs to stay committed through the middle sector, and we've actually closed up to Gasly by lap 27. We're going to be following him as closely as possible, and Raikkonen's fallen back behind Sainz again, so I don't know if Kimi Raikkonen has got some issues with his car, but we're not going to worry about Kimi, because he's fallen way back behind both Hasses and both Renaults actually, so poor afternoon for Raikkonen, and we're just going to close up on Gasly through the middle sector. He can't stay committed through the corners, those tyres just not giving him the grip he needs, and we're going to overtake him into our favourite place. You'd think it'd be turn 1, but it's actually into the baseball stadium as we once again just take a boatload of curb. Went a bit wide there, potentially a bit questionable on the overtake, but the stewards didn't have anything to say about it, so back up into 5th place. And quite realistically, you could say best of the rest, because both Force Indias have proven to be very, very quick, and of course one Red Bull and one Ferrari ahead of me, which, you know, they are very, very close together on the performance chart, so we pretty much are best of the rest, having beat both Renaults here quite soundly, and indeed one Red Bull and one Ferrari, so I'm pretty happy with that. 5.6 to Perez ahead and 4.5 to Gasly behind. Pretty much we're just going to be running the rest of the race, so it's about just running everything in standard, not really pushing the car too hard, and bringing it home, really. I'm quite happy with 5th place considering where we started on the grid. I was happy to make up those positions and be able to have a bit of a fight later on in the race. Gasly has dropped down behind Sainz, which is unfortunate. Esteban Ocon takes the win for Force India. He has been on fine form since getting that seat back. Unfortunate for Perez, because he was leading the race early on, for him not to be able to take that win in front of his home fans due to a mechanical issue. But we come through the baseball stadium one more time with the lovely confetti. I do love Mexico. It does bring that, you know, almost like a party vibe to the Formula 1 weekend. But we're going to come around the final corner for the final time, take the checkered flag, P5. Pretty happy with that, actually.
Well done, good finish. You stepped up and achieved what we asked. Good job.
I can see them on their way out to the podium now. Force India have really come a long, long way in this sport. And what a special race this was, to see them earn that top spot.
So there you have it. Esteban Ocon wins the Mexican Grand Prix by 5 seconds to Sebastian Vettel. Daniel Ricciardo getting a podium with his aggressive strategy. Perez, unfortunately to suffer from those mechanical issues, dropped to 16 seconds back, but still a 4th place. We came home in 5th, some 30 seconds back from Esteban Ocon. Then Carlos Sainz fought through to P6 in the Renault. Pierre Gasly, first of the one-stoppers up from P11. I think he did a really good job this afternoon. Then came Hulkenberg. Raikkonen dropped to 9th for some unknown reason. Verstappen just about getting a point. And unfortunately, Grosjean and Magnussen just not having the pace to get their one stop to work. At the top of the standings, of course, Vettel, pretty much all he has to do is beat Perez in in the next round in Brazil. That's the name of the circuit, and he will clinch the Drivers' Championship. Can we maybe upset Perez and still get P2 in the Drivers' standings? I certainly hope so, but it's not looking too good based on our pace. This was my last strong track, insert quotation marks, of the calendar, unfortunately. Force India still leading the way with Ferrari now, 36 points clear. We, unfortunately, are just too far back from Red Bull, so I think Mercedes are going to sit fourth in the constructors' standings for this particular weekend, unless there are chronic reliability issues with the Red Bull cars. But I'm happy with this weekend. Let's just have a quick catch-up with Claire.
The fans really seem to enjoy that. You made it look easy. We all underestimated you, didn't we?
I think it's not really myself anymore. You just underestimate the car, and more importantly, what I can bring out of it. The car and the team, everything just goes quite well, personally.
It wasn't your rival's day today, was it?
No, I mentioned this sort of before. He just didn't appear to be there this weekend, but you know, he's pretty good.
You left some body work out there on the track. Were you struggling for grip?
No, it was just more me getting my elbows out against some of my rivals.
Great. Well, that's everything.
And there we have it. There has been the Mexican Grand Prix. I'd like to thank everyone for watching. Leave a like if you did enjoy, and comment any feedback down below would be greatly appreciated. So, as I said, this is my last strong track of the weekend. We go to Brazil and then to Abu Dhabi, tracks that I tend to do sort of okay at. I've been better at Brazil in the older generations of games. I particularly remember F1 2010. I was pretty quick at Brazil, but not in the current era, as it were. I just find that with the way that I like to attack curbs and the way that they are in Brazil, it sort of hampers my my exits on a lot of the corners. And Brazil, especially the middle sector, is all about momentum, carrying that speed from one corner to another. In Abu Dhabi, I've always struggled with the tyres, getting the most out of them. But still, we still have a fight with Perez to have for the rest of the season, and I am hoping we can take the fight to him. It's just a matter of time of, can we seal that P2? I think Vettel has won the driver's standings, but of course we're going to come back next year. Myself and Valtteri Bottas signed on with the team till the end of 2020, and we will see what the future holds. Of course, we're going to have winter, try and get a big development package on the car. But yeah, we'll go to Brazil next time out. Once again, thank you everyone for watching, and I will see you all next time.